violations of international law committed by Israel. Having taken note of the experts' reports and having heard the witnesses summoned by the latter, the RTP finds that Israel has committed and continues to commit grave breaches of international law against the Palestinian people. In the view of the RTP, Israel violates international law by the conduct described below. By maintaining a form of domination and subjugation over the Palestinians that prevents them from freely determining their political status, Israel violates the rights of the Palestinian people to self-determination inasmuch as it is unable to exercise its sovereignty on the territory which belongs to it. This violates the Declaration on the Granting of Independence to Colonial Countries and Peoples, Assembly Resolution 1514-15, 14th of December 1960, and all UNGA resolutions that have reaffirmed the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination since 1969, Assembly Resolution 2534b, 24, 10th of December 1969, and inter alia Assembly Resolution 3236-29, 22nd of November 1974, 52, 114, 12th of December 1997, etc. By occupying Palestinian territories since June 1967 and refusing to leave them, Israel violates the Security Council resolutions that demand its withdrawal from the territories concerned. Security Council Resolution 242, 22nd of November 1967, 338, 22nd of October 1973. By pursuing a policy of systematic discrimination against Palestinians present in Israeli territory or in the occupied territories, Israel commits acts that may be characterized as apartheid. These acts include the following: closure of the borders of Gaza Strip and restriction on the freedom of movements of its inhabitants, prevention of the return of Palestinian refugees to their home or land of origin, prohibition on the free use of Palestinians of certain natural resources such as the watercourses within their lands. Given the discriminatory nature of these measures, since they are based inter alia on the nationality of the persons to whom they are applied, the RTP finds that they present features comparable to apartheid, even though they do not emanate from the identical political regime to that prevailing in South Africa prior to 1994. These measures are characterized as criminal acts by the Convention on the Suppression and Punishment of the Crime of Apartheid of 18th of July 1976, which is not in fact binding on Israel, though this does not exonerate Israel in this regard. By annexing Jerusalem in July 1980 and maintaining the annexation, Israel violates the prohibition of the acquisition of territory by force, as stated by the Security Council Security Resolution 478, 20th of August 1980. By constructing a wall in the West Bank on Palestinian territory that it occupies, Israel denies the Palestinians access to their own land, violates their property rights, and seriously restricts the freedom of movement of the Palestinian population, thereby violating Article 12 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, to which Israel has been a party since the 3rd of October 1991. The illegality of the construction of the wall was confirmed by the ICJ in its advisory opinion of 9th of July 2004, which was endorsed by the UNGA in its Resolution Executive Secretary 1015. By systematically building settlements in Jerusalem and the West Bank, Israel breaches the rules of international humanitarian law governing occupation. In particular, Article 49 of the 4th General Convention of the 12th of August 1949, by which Israel has been bound since the 6th of July 1951. This point was noted by the ICJ in the above-mentioned advisory opinions. By pursuing a policy of targeted killings against Palestinians, whom it describes as terrorists, without first attempting to arrest them, Israel violates the right to life of the persons concerned, a right enshrined in Article 6 of the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. By maintaining a blockade on the Gaza Strip in breach of the provisions of the 4th Geneva Convention of the 12th of August 1949, Article 33, which prohibits collective punishment, by inflicting extensive and serious damage, especially on persons and civilian property, and by using prohibited methods of conduct during Operation Cast Lead in Gaza, December 2008, January 2009. While the EU and its member states are not the direct perpetrators of these acts, they nevertheless violate international law and the internal legal order of the EU as set down by the EU Treaty, either by failing to take the measures that Israel's conduct requires them to take, or by contributing directly or indirectly to such conduct. The relevant provisions of the EU Treaty include Preamble, confirming their attachment to the principles of liberty, democracy and respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms and of the rule of law. Article 2. The Union shall set itself the following objectives: to assert its identity on the international scene, in particular through the implementation of a common foreign and security policy, including the progressive framing of a common defence policy which might lead to a common defence, in accordance with the provisions of Article 17. Article 3. The Union shall in particular ensure the consistency of its external activities as a whole in the context of its external relations, security, economic and development policies. The Council and Commission shall in particular for ensuring such consistency and shall cooperate to this end. They shall ensure the implementation of these policies, each in accordance with its respective powers. Article 6. The Union is founded on the principles of liberty, democracy, respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms and the rule of law, principles which are common to the member states. The Union shall respect fundamental rights as guaranteed by the European Convention for the Protection of Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms, signed in Rome on the 4th of November 1950, and as they result from the constitutional traditions common to the member states as general principles of community law. The Union shall provide itself with the means necessary to obtain its objects and carry through its policies. Article 17. The common foreign and security policy shall include all questions relating to the security of the Union, including the progressive framing of a common defence policy, which might lead to a common defence should the European Council so decide. It shall in that case recommend to the Member States the adoption of such a decision in accordance with their respective constitutional requirements.